Walk us through the history of taxes. I don't know how far back you can go, but specifically in the States, walk us through how taxes became, why it became, started, and where we are today, how much more complex it is today versus what it was in 1913 when it first got started.
So remember in 1913, it was only a tax on surplus income. It wasn't a tax on all income. It was really a tax on what they called excess earnings. And it really only applied to the very wealthiest people. Around 1944, they changed the law to apply to employees, but even then they exempted a living wage. So basically the standard deduction, the personal exemptions, they were intended to exempt a living wage so that only the excess earnings, again, were taxed. And then in the 1960s, we started to see some tax increases, and we started to see incentives. We had the 1954 Act, which was a major tax act. It was supposed to simplify it, didn't it? Complexified things. Then we had the 1986 Act, which is supposed to simplify again, which is what it really did was broaden the base. So it made more things taxable, added more complexity. What we have now is we actually have a lower tax rate than we've had in many, many years in the US. At one point, it was upwards of 90% on the highest rates. And there's all sorts of shenanigans going on to get out of those, right? Those kind of 90% taxes. So right now, we're in that 40% range, which is actually kind of a sweet spot for governments. They find that if people are paying more than 40%, they have a huge incentive to get out of taxes. And if they pay much less than 40%, the difference between a lot less than 40% and 40% doesn't impact behavior a whole lot. So what the government really started doing back in the early 60s with the investment tax credit was to kind of test the waters and see what would happen if we gave a tax incentive. They finally realized people hate paying taxes, right? So if we give a little tax incentive, what will that change behavior? And what they found was, and in fact, it changes behavior. The right incentive will change behavior in a massive way. So really what taxes have become is a way for the government to leverage government funds. Instead of the government building houses, for example, they encourage private industry to build houses. And as a result, private industry does 10 times the work for the same number of dollars because they're getting rewarded through profits. And then when they make the profits, they're also paying the government. So the government wins multiple times with these incentives.
So if you like this little short clip from an interview I did, click over here to watch the entire interview. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.